In combat sports, there are moments that shake the entire world. Moments when fighters step outside their comfort zone, leave their own discipline behind, and challenge champions from a completely different battlefield. This is where legends are tested, reputations are risked, and fans get to witness history. The rivalry between mixed martial arts and boxing has existed for decades. UFC champions are trained to dominate in the octagon, combining striking, wrestling, submissions, and a variety of martial arts. Boxers, on the other hand, perfect the art of punching with unmatched precision, timing, and footwork. When these two worlds collide, the result is nothing short of explosive. Over the years, some of the sport's biggest names have crossed over, stepping into enemy territory to prove themselves. From Conor McGregor's billion-dollar showdown with Floyd Mayweather to Francis Ngannou's jaw-dropping performance against Tyson Fury, these fights have pushed boundaries, broken records, and captured the imagination of millions around the globe. In this video, we're diving deep into the top 5 greatest UFC to boxing crossovers of all time. Fights that shocked fans, broke the internet, and changed the way we look at combat sports forever. Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury in the long history of combat sports. Few matchups have captured the imagination of fans like the day Francis Ngannou stepped into a boxing ring to face Tyson Fury. It wasn't just another fight. It was a collision between two titans from different worlds. On one side, the Predator, a man whose fists had ended careers in the UFC and who carried the aura of the most feared knockout artist in MMA history. On the other, the Gypsy King, the undefeated WBC heavyweight boxing champion, a master tactician known for his elusive movement, iron chin, and uncanny ability to adapt mid-fight. When the fight was first announced, many boxing purists dismissed it as a circus act. They believed that Fury, with his decades of boxing experience, would dismantle Ngannou with ease. But those who truly understood the mentality of fighters knew better. Ngannou wasn't coming for a paycheck alone. He was coming to shock the world, to prove that MMA heavyweights could hang with the very best in boxing. Fight night in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, an electric atmosphere. The arena buzzed with anticipation as celebrities, fight legends, and fans from every corner of the globe took their seats. When Ngannou made his walk to the ring, his expression was one of pure focus. He wasn't smiling, wasn't waving, he was locked in. Across from him, Fury danced, smiling as always, but even he seemed to sense the weight of the moment. From the opening bell, it became clear this wouldn't be a one-sided affair. Ngannou's power was immediate and real. Every punch he threw carried danger. Then came the third round, the moment that would echo across sports media for weeks. Ngannou landed a perfect left hook, sending Fury to the canvas. The world gasped. The Gypsy King, floored by a man making his professional boxing debut, was something no one had predicted. But Fury is Fury. He rose, smiled, and got back to work. The remaining rounds turned into a high-stakes chess match. Fury used his footwork and jab to keep Ngannou at bay, while Francis patiently waited for his next opportunity to detonate another ball. By the final bell, both men had earned respect. The judges scored the fight in Fury's favor, but the decision was controversial with many fans, and even some boxing analysts, believing Ngannou had done enough to win. In the aftermath, Ngannou's stock skyrocketed. He had gone from UFC champion to legitimate boxing threat in a single night. Fury, though victorious, knew he had been pushed to the edge. The fight wasn't just a crossover. It was proof that the gap between elite MMA striking and boxing might not be as wide as many believed. Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva in October 2022, the boxing world witnessed one of the most unexpected and intriguing matchups in crossover fight history. Jake Paul, the YouTuber turned professional boxer, versus Anderson Silva, one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time. Jake Paul had been making waves in boxing since his debut in 2020, knocking out former NBA player Nate Robinson and defeating former MMA champions like Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley. Critics dismissed him as a social media stunt, but Jake was proving he had real skills, discipline, and an undeniable knack for selling fights. Anderson Silva, on the other hand, was a living legend. A former UFC middleweight champion with a record-setting title reign, Silva was revered for his fluid striking, creativity, and unmatched fight IQ. Though he was well past his UFC prime, the Spider had transitioned to boxing. Fight night on October 29, 2022, in Glendale, Arizona, was electric. The opening rounds were competitive, with Silva showing flashes of his old brilliance. Slick head movement, sharp counters, and tricky angles that kept Jake guessing. Jake, however, stayed composed, using his jab to control distance and patiently looking for openings. The fight turned into a tactical chess match. Silva's experience was evident, but Jake's youth, power, and conditioning began to shine in the later rounds. In the eighth and final round, Jake scored a clean knockdown with a right hand, sealing the deal on the judges' scorecards. The decision was unanimous. Jake Paul had defeated Anderson Silva. The result sent shockwaves through the combat sports community. Some praised Jake for stepping up against a true legend. Others argued Silva's age was the deciding factor. But one thing was certain: Jake Paul had earned more credibility in the boxing world, and crossover fights had just taken another step into the mainstream. This fight wasn't just about the result. It was about eras colliding, new media challenging old legends, and the evolution of combat sports promotion. Jake proved he was more than just a YouTube star with gloves. Silva showed that even at nearly 50, his skills and heart could still captivate fans. Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather, the billion-dollar fight. In the summer of 2017, the combat sports world stood still. Two of the most polarizing figures in modern athletics, Conor the Notorious McGregor and Floyd Money Mayweather, signed on to fight in what was billed as the billion-dollar fight. It wasn't just a boxing match, MMA crossover. It was an event, a cultural phenomenon, and arguably the most hyped spectacle in fight history. Conor McGregor, the Irish UFC superstar, had already conquered the MMA world by becoming the first fighter to hold two UFC titles simultaneously. Known for his precision striking, trash talk, and ability to sell fights like no other, McGregor believed he could step into a boxing ring and shock the world. On the other side stood Floyd Mayweather, undefeated in 49 professional bouts, a 5-division world champion, and widely regarded as one of the greatest defensive boxers of all time. Mayweather wasn't just a fighter. He was a master tactician, a man who turned the sweet science into a chess match where he never lost a piece. The build-up to the fight was legendary. A multi-city press tour brought chaos, insults, and viral moments. McGregor promised to knock Floyd out within 4 rounds, mocking his size, his age, and even his fashion choices. Mayweather, calm but sharp-tongued, reminded the world that you don't play boxing, and predicted Conor would crumble under the bright lights. Fight night arrived on August 26, 2017, at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. The energy was electric. Celebrities filled the front rows, millions tuned in worldwide, and betting lines shifted wildly. As the bell rang for round 1, McGregor came out aggressive, surprising many with his confidence. He landed jabs, threw creative angles, and even connected with clean shots in the early rounds. But Mayweather had seen it all before. He weathered the early storm, letting McGregor expend energy while slowly adjusting his timing. By round 6, the tide had turned. Floyd began walking Conor down, landing precise counters and body shots that sapped the Irishman's stamina. By the 10th round, McGregor was visibly exhausted. Mayweather seized the moment, unleashing a barrage of punches that forced the referee to step in. TKO victory for Floyd Mayweather, now 50-0. While McGregor lost on the scorecards, he won in other ways. A career-high payday, global recognition beyond MMA, and a reputation as a fearless competitor willing to chase history. Mayweather, meanwhile, proved his mastery once again, securing his perfect record in another chapter in his legendary career. Francis Ngannou versus Anthony Joshua, power meets precision. If Francis Ngannou's boxing debut against Tyson Fury shook the combat sports world, his next matchup against Anthony Joshua set it on fire. This wasn't just another fight. It was a clash between raw, unrestrained power and polished, Olympic-level precision. Fans were salivating at the thought. The Predator, fresh off his shocking performance against the Gypsy King, stepping into the ring with a man whose knockout reel looked like a highlight package from video game. Anthony Joshua, the former unified heavyweight champion, brought with him a reputation for discipline, crisp technique, and fight-ending uppercuts. Ngannou, on the other hand, was still riding the momentum of proving the world wrong. No longer dismissed as just an MMA guy, Francis was now seen as a legitimate heavyweight threat, capable of changing the course of a fight with one single punch. The fight took place under the blazing lights of a sold-out arena in London. The atmosphere was tense, British fans singing for AJ, African fans chanting for Ngannou, and a global audience glued to their screens. Both fighters knew the stakes. For Joshua, this was a chance to reassert dominance in the heavyweight division. For Ngannou, it was an opportunity to prove that his Fury performance wasn't a one-night miracle. In the opening round, Joshua wasted no time establishing his dominance. His jab was sharp, his movement fluid, and his range control flawless. About halfway through the round, AJ timed a perfect right hand that landed flush on Ngannou's chin, sending the former UFC champion crashing to the canvas. The crowd erupted, sensing an early finish. Ngannou got back to his feet and survived the remainder of the round, but his balance and reactions were visibly shaken. The second round began with Joshua still in full command. Ngannou tried to press forward, looking for that one fight-changing punch, but Joshua's speed and precision kept him at bay. Less than a minute into the round, AJ struck again, a thunderous right hand that pierced Ngannou's guard and dropped him for the second time in the fight. This time, there was no coming back. The referees stepped in immediately, waving off the bout to prevent further damage. In just under 2 rounds, Anthony Joshua had secured a dominant knockout victory. For Ngannou, it was a harsh reminder of the difference in skill, speed, and experience at the elite level of professional boxing. While his courage in stepping into the ring against one of the sport's greats earned him respect, Joshua's performance was a masterclass in how to dismantle even the most dangerous MMA punchers in the squared circle. This bout proved something important. Ngannou wasn't just a curiosity in the boxing world. He was here to stay. And Joshua, having survived the Predator's storm, had earned not just a win, but the respect of MMA fans worldwide. Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz on August 5th, 2023, the combat sports world got one of the wildest crossover matchups imaginable. Jake Paul, fresh off his first professional loss to Tommy Fury, versus Nate Diaz, the Stockton-born UFC fan favorite known for his iron chin, endless cardio, and relentless trash talk. Nate Diaz had just finished his UFC contract, walking away as one of the most beloved and unpredictable fighters in MMA history. Known for his middle finger taunts, unfiltered interviews, and legendary Stockton slap, Nate had built a cult following. Stepping into a boxing ring against Jake Paul was classic Nate. Unexpected, risky, and fueled by pure attitude. Jake Paul, meanwhile, was looking for redemption. His split decision loss to Tommy Fury earlier that year had quieted some of his hype, but Jake wasn't going to fade away. Facing Diaz wasn't just about winning. It was about proving that he could still draw massive attention and beat a respected fighter with elite striking endurance. Fight night in Dallas, Texas, was electric. From the opening bell, Nate Diaz does, walking forward, eating punches and taunting his opponent. Jake, younger and more powerful, landed heavy shots early, especially his overhand right. By the third round, Diaz's face was already marked up, but his energy never wavered. As the round went on, Jake's strategy became clear. Keep the fight technical, avoid getting drawn into Nate's brawling style, and rack up points with clean power shots. Diaz, however, seemed to grow stronger as the fight went deeper, unleashing flurries in the later rounds and taunting Jake with playful gestures. In the 5th round, Jake landed a clean right hook that visibly wobbled Nate. The crowd roared, sensing a possible knockout, but Nate's legendary toughness kept him on his feet. Even in the final round, with the fight slipping away on the scorecards, Nate pressed forward, grinning through punches and rallying the crowd. After 10 rounds, the judges awarded Jake Paul a unanimous decision victory. Jake had done enough to win, using discipline and ring control to neutralize Diaz's volume punching. Nate, despite losing, left the arena to loud cheers, because for his fans, just showing up, making it gritty, and refusing to quit was a victory in itself. The fight once again proved the power of crossover matchups. It wasn't about belts or rankings. It was about personalities, styles, and stories. Jake regained momentum after his Fury loss, while Nate walked away with a massive payday and the same cult hero status he's always had. Crossover fights have always divided fans. Some see them as money grabs, others as once-in-a-lifetime opportunities to witness history. But one thing is certain, they bring the worlds of combat sports together in a way no other event can. Whether it's Ngannou shocking boxing fans with his raw power, Silva proving that skill is timeless, Diaz delivering pure chaos, or McGregor standing toe-to-toe with one of the greatest boxers alive, these moments remind us why we love the fight game. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about who wins or loses. It's about daring to step into unknown territory, chasing the impossible, and giving the fans something they'll never forget. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell